franktalks.com.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
The latest trends and hottest topics, love and sex, handled honestly and with passion. Here's Dr. Laurie, CJAD 800.
Your dating questions answered tonight with our Dating Dilemmas panel. Coming up, we're going to take a look at what are the signs that it's time to call it quits, time to stop dating. So I'm not really talking about breaking up, but because you're not really maybe an item yet, but time to start looking elsewhere. So we'll talk to Frank and Fitz coming up in just a bit. But first, I want to reach into my passion mailbag and help you with some specific questions that you have sent me. And by the way, you can send all questions to me by email, Laurie@drlaurie.com. So this is a topic that you might have heard about it in the news, and somebody wanted me to address this, actually. The news story about a hospital employee getting caught having sex with a corpse. So I want to share a little bit of what necrophilia is for those who don't know. And unfortunately, when I did the search for that particular story, a whole bunch of other stories came up with people who work in industries where they are likely to come in contact with corpses, like in a funeral home or a hospital, for example. So this was a hospital security guard at a Tennessee hospital was caught having sex with a dead woman's body. This 23-year-old guy is charged with abuse of a corpse. This is illegal. A corpse cannot consent. I know it sounds far out there, but it does happen. An affidavit says at least 2 people saw him having sex with a woman's corpse in a body storage room at a hospital in Memphis. Of course, he has been fired. He admitted to the crime. And he's set to appear in court this week. So don't know what will become of that, but I did want to share with you a little bit about what necrophilia is. It's known as several words: necrophilism, necrolagnia, necrocoitus, necroclesis, thanatophilia. Basically, we all know it more commonly as necrophilia. It's a sexual attraction or a sexual act involving corpses. It is classified as what we call a paraphilia in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychiatric Association. So it's not okay. It is considered an illness, a sickness that should be treated. There was an article that was published years ago reviewing information from cases of necrophilia, describing the individual's motivations for their behaviors, because of course we ask, like, why would someone do this? So these individuals reported the desire to possess a non-resisting and non-rejecting partner was the most common reason given. So 68% of these cases of necrophiliacs said that it was all about being with someone, albeit a dead someone, who would not resist and would not reject them. So you can imagine the psychological issues going on in that person's mind. 21% said it was to reunite with a romantic partner. So it was their romantic partner. 15% said that they were actually sexually attracted to corpses, which is interesting because the 68%, the initial ones, talked about the possessing a non-rejecting partner. So it just so happens that who's gonna not reject them? Either someone who's dead or someone who's in a coma or unconscious or what have you. So it wasn't necessarily the sexual attraction to the corpse. So 15% were sexually attracted to the corpse. 15% said it was comfort. Reasons were given was for comfort or overcoming feelings of isolation, and 12% said that it was seeking self-esteem by expressing power over a homicide victim. It's really hard to understand why people do certain things, right? I'm sure when we hear these kinds of stories, it freaks us all out and certainly can gross us out as well. Let me share another email, or actually it's an email, text, and feel free, by the way, 514-800, if you have something to say, or you want to share, you want to ask, you can do that. Texter writes, what a truly disgusting topic you chose tonight, turning off the radio. I didn't choose this topic. A listener chose this topic and wanted me to address it, which I did. It's over now, so no worries. This is not the topic of the evening, but just so you know, unfortunately, necrophilia, as are other paraphilias, do happen in this world, and there's nothing wrong with us getting a little bit of education as to what that is, especially when we hear about it in the news. We may want to get a greater understanding for it. So I don't know why you're mad about that. Maybe you won't like this topic. And again, this is simply a question that I'm answering. Why does my girlfriend have an odor? So it's hard to say what you're specifying here. Are you saying that it's a foul odor or simply an odor? Because all women have an odor. If the odor is unpleasant, in other words, it's a fishy smell or something like that, it's a foul odor, then that is usually a sign of a bacterial infection. It's called bacterial vaginosis. There are some women who seem to be prone to these infections, and others who may develop these infections as a result of using antibiotics. Some of them because of douching, some hormonal changes. I mean, these are just some of the possible causes. So anything that changes the normal environment of the vagina can result in an infection. And a foul odor is usually just one of those signs of infection. Other signs include itching, burning, irritation, or discharge. It could also be that an unpleasant odor is due to poor hygiene, or worse and grosser, a forgotten tampon. This has happened to women. It can also be caused by a sexually transmitted infection, which can cause genital itching and pain when you urinate. So when you say, in general, why does my girlfriend have an odor? It's really hard to determine what you actually mean by that. A regular odor or a foul odor. Those are very, very different. Here's a question I'll address now, which is something that comes up often enough. My girlfriend and I have had sex about 4 times a week for the last year and a half, and she's never had an orgasm through intercourse alone. I'm starting to think that she must be frigid. So we don't use the word frigid anymore. It isn't first of all, a kind word, and it isn't really descriptive of anything. That just says somebody is cold. So that doesn't make sense when you're talking about orgasm or inability to have an orgasm and being cold or frigid. So let's remember this number again. 70% to 75% of women don't experience a vaginal orgasm. It doesn't mean they don't experience orgasm. They can experience clitoral orgasms. It just means that they are not experiencing orgasms through intercourse alone. So you need to find ways to directly stimulate them in that area, even during penetration. Remember, the penis doesn't come in contact with the clitoris unless she is applying a certain kind of pressure against you. So this is something that you need to think about. So get that out of your head in terms of expectations of that there's something wrong if a woman doesn't orgasm through intercourse. That's par for the course. That's the norm. So I hope that was a little bit helpful. Coming up, we are going to look at the signs that it's time to stop dating someone. When do you call it quits?
Your relationship's on the line. Connect with Dr. Laurie now. 514-790-0800. Passion. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
You ever dating somebody and you don't know where it's going, and you're getting all signs like, are they interested? Are they not interested? Like, at which point do you say, you know what? Damn this, like, no more. I don't want to be played around with. It's time for me to just say goodbye. And this happens to a lot of people in the dating world these days. At least that's what I'm noticing in talking to young people who are dating. The dating landscape has changed tremendously. Tonight it is our Dating Dilemmas, which is sponsored by EliteSpeedDating.com. We have in studio with us Fritz-Gerald Morisseau, who's the founder and president of Elite Speed Dating, and Frank Kermit, who is a dating coach. He can be found at franktalks.com. So let's get right into this, and I want to invite our listeners too at 514-800 to let us know, when do you know it's time? Like, what is the one thing, if there is a one thing, that tells you, okay, you know what, this is not going anywhere? How do you know when it's just not going anywhere? Frank, where do you begin?
Well, generally speaking, if the person says or does something that is completely against your value system, that's usually the first big sign. It might not be something that's apparent right away, because when people start dating, they're usually on their best behavior.
Yeah.
But it is something that, will come up as the two of you experience struggles. So I'll just share a little story of mine just to get the ball rolling here. When did I know that it was time to break up with a girl? We were driving along the highway. We were getting into a bit of a discussion. I had made a joke. She didn't take it well, and she started to hit me with a newspaper while I'm driving.
Okay.
And I just started yelling, "Not while I'm driving! Not while I'm driving!" And we nearly got into an accident, got off the highway, had to park the car and calm down. And she immediately said, I'm sorry. And I'm thinking,
and that's her best behavior.
Well,
right? That's the beginning, right? So that would be the best behavior. Imagine like 5 years down the line.
Well, no, we had been together for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
At that point, I'd never seen that side of her. And that, for me, was a sign. Here's the unfortunate news. This happened in my youth when I didn't know better. So I didn't break up with her. I should have.
Mm-hmm. Well, there must have been other signs that pointed to it, too. When you're young, it's often hard to pick up because of the lack of experience. And I think if we do anything tonight, it's maybe help that out a little bit to be able to see, okay, what are some of the things. Now, I'm watching some young people around me, including my own kids, who are in the dating world, and so they share stories with me. So I'm just going to share stories from them and their friends, and so I can see where the 20-somethings are at and the close to 30s are at in dating. I'm watching this, and I'm like astounded at how non-committal everybody is to things, and how loose, or how I'm not even sure what the word is, but it's like people are not taking dating seriously. That's the impression I'm getting. It's like they call, they don't call, they don't ask about you. They say they like you, but then they don't show up, or they cancel dates on you. And this is the beginning. I'm not talking about like breaking up after years together. I want to focus really on those people who are out there meeting people, thinking, oh, this is going well, and then all of a sudden stuff starts to happen, and so when do you say, okay, you know what, I'm done with this? Like, these are games. I don't want to play these games. I'm done. You say you like me, but really your actions don't show it, so goodbye.
I think one of the challenges, people don't know how to date anymore. It's become a hookup culture. People don't grasp the concept that when you give your word that you're going to meet up and get together, that you should keep your word, just for the sake that you gave your word.
I do think, yes, it's a hookup culture, but I also think it's just because it's the attention span. You have so much choice.
I think that's more of it. I'm not so convinced of the whole, I don't want to blame all of it on saying we live in this hookup culture and nobody cares. People that I see, and even young people, are still looking for meaningful relationships. I find that puts everybody in a box that I'm not in agreement with. I think still a lot of people who are out there dating, even who are on apps, whether it's Tinder or Bumble or Plenty of Fish, or now a lot of people are meeting on Instagram, following each other. They do want meaningful relationships. They have to connect on that level.
I agree with you that they are looking for meaningful relationships, but that doesn't mean also, at least in my opinion, that they can't be part of this movement that, you know what, more hookups happen. And through all your hookups, hopefully you'll try to find someone. As where maybe back when we were dating and you had to do the things, quote unquote, the old fashioned way and say, hey, what's up? And you didn't have that many choices.
Right.
You went around and you looked for what you wanted. And as soon as you got it, you said, I don't have that much more choice. She's perfect for me. Well, she's perfect for my perfect, or her crazy is the same as my crazy.
Right.
So we're perfect for each other. So I'm going to hold on to that person as much as I can. As where now there's just so much choice.
It's like you say, oh, there could be somebody better.
Exactly.
Like they're just a click away. They're just a swipe away.
Correct.
Which makes the non-committal part that I'm seeing.
Well, I don't think it's just the fact that they have a lot of distraction. I think there's very little motivation to seek out a serious relationship when you're younger. You got more years in school if you want to have a career. People are discouraged when they're young to get into relationships that are too serious.
Right.
They see an entire... how many of them are coming from homes that ended up in divorce?
Right.
Where they watched mom and dad go through a series of boyfriends and girlfriends after a divorce.
Right.
They understand that the person I'm seeing now is not going to be the person I'm going to be with forever. So why should I care? You know, and
so they don't invest.
But why would they? There's no motivation to invest. The same way that you have an entire generation of people out there who are single parents, and they're hesitant about wanting to get serious again because of what they just went through with the first nasty divorce. They're up in arms, so they want to go out there, they want to have fun,
right?
But they don't want to get too serious with anybody and repeat the same mistakes. For anyone listening, if you want to be in a serious relationship, you got to make sure that you communicate the following: you have something to offer that the person can't get elsewhere. And until you can really demonstrate and prove yourself, you're going to struggle to find something serious out there.
Well, what do you mean, Frank, when you say that you can't get elsewhere? You can always, there's not just one person that can offer you everything. That's unrealistic.
I think that at least what I'm seeing when I'm coaching people is that I want to know why I can't get into a serious relationship. What are you offering the person that you really like that they couldn't find elsewhere? What combination of characteristics? Are you into the same things they're into? Do you do things for them? Are you giving of yourself for them? Or are you waiting to get as much as you can from them?
Right.
It's a very different attitude. If you go into it saying, I want this from you, and if you don't give me this, then you can't have me. Well, that's probably not the best attitude.
Right. It's the give and take thing. This is our Dating Dilemmas panel. Frank Kermit is one voice. The other voice, Fritz-Gerald Morisseau of Elite Speed Dating. So this texter wants to know, what advice would you give a young lady in her 20s that is a bum magnet? So she's attracting bums.
What's her definition of bum?
Well, let's define for her. So, what would be a definition of a bum? I'm assuming somebody who has no ambition, no job,
right. Basically needs to be taken care of.
Right.
Here's the advice I'm going to give you, and I'm hoping you listen to this. Evidently, you have an attraction mechanism, that's what I call it in my work, that drives you towards these bums. Don't date people that you are initially massively attracted to. Because if your habit is that to be attracted to bums, the only way to break that is that you need to associate positive experiences with people who are not bums. So, the next time an ambitious guy with a job that you find too boring asks you out, say yes.
Right.
If you want to really be more proactive, especially now that men are more hesitant to ask you out, if you see an ambitious guy with a job, you ask him out. Go through the process of dating. Go out and have fun. Allow for the chemistry to develop. But if all you do is date people you're already attracted to, you will continue to be a bum magnet.
Right. That's a good point. You're going to have to do something very different. 514-800 if you'd like to text in, or 514-790-0800. We're talking about the signs to stop dating someone. When did you know it was time to call it quits? This texter writes, guy was never able to make a decision. Then I heard these magic words. My mother says, yup, his mom made all his decisions for him. He was 21. I wasn't ready to be his mom in the future. Now, that's a smart person who is recognizing that there's that dynamic and that dependency that might occur. Another one, when he couldn't stand up for me with his own parents. Mm-hmm. Also something important that you might see at the beginning of a more serious relationship. And then there was the one who at 38 didn't know what he wanted out of life, and that would be okay, but I knew what I wanted, and therefore we hit an impasse. So not being at the same place. Not
having compatible values, being at different life stages.
Right.
You know, if you're in your 20s and don't really know what you want out of life, most people in their 20s are probably in the same situation. When later on in life, people start realizing they have a mortality. They start realizing that the clock is ticking for how many years they have left on the planet, and they want to make the most of it. If somebody's not on par with that thinking,
right,
might not be a good match.
Another one, when I found out he had a serious anger problem and was about to get physical with me, I will never allow any man to be violent with me. So that's
good for her.
Again,
that's
another
a wonderful boundary. Good for her.
And those are boundaries, and I think maybe we should talk about our boundaries, because this is really, it's our boundaries that determine when we stop, when we say no, when we stop dating somebody. It is because we have boundaries, we have limits that we should impose. So maybe we'll talk about how to assert your boundaries, how to set your boundaries on this Dating Dilemmas after we check news right here on CJAD 800.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
From the pleasure to the pain and everything in between. Passion with Dr. Laurie. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
This is our Dating Dilemmas segment of the show, where Frank Kermit, dating coach, is in studio, along with Fritz-Gerald Morisseau of Elite Speed Dating. Speed dating is taking off like wildfire. It is one of the methods of dating face-to-face. So if you want an alternative to Tinder, this might be a good option for you. And Elite Speed Dating, you're going to have to tell us a little bit about your events, because you're going to have like 3 events a month now.
That is correct.
So this is happening for people.
This is happening.
Okay. So what is the process? What do you want people to know about it?
So the first thing that I want people to know is we are here. We're in Montreal. We are here to serve every single person who is looking for a single relationship, single serious relationship, not multiple relationships, but you are looking for it, and we will provide you with as many dates as you can in order to get to that serious one person. We are looking to provide long-lasting relationships. That's our goal here.
You're making you want to make connections that last.
Correct.
Like, this is not a hookup thing.
This is not a hookup thing. So if you are just, I'm just going to try this out for so-and-so and it's just for fun, I suggest that you go maybe to another company, because we are here to provide a service for people who are really interested in finding someone. And therefore, we have partners who are in it with us. To give you an idea, we have Typhoon, which is in Monkland Village, who has just yesterday booked with us all the way till April every 2 weeks.
Great.
Spaces are limited. There are only 10 seats available for women, 10 seats available for men.
Okay.
So you will need to sign up to get your spot. If you don't do so, you'll have to wait for the next event.
And they're catered specifically, right? Some of them have specific requirements, like you do
correct.
some for professionals, you do...
That is correct. We only do now for professionals and serious people. So therefore, you'll see either speed dating for professionals or speed dating with a certain age group.
Right.
That hasn't... And I will be very honest with this, that will have a certain dollar value to it to weed out everybody who's just not serious and would take this as a Tinder or a something for free. We are looking for serious people who want to have serious relationships in their lives.
All right.
And
So
we found partners
people
to do it.
can go to elitespeeddating.com to at least sign up. It's free to sign up, right?
It's free to sign up. You
Okay.
only pay for the event when it's
Okay.
the time.
Great. So there's at least another option for you. Tonight we've been talking about when do you call it quits? Like, when do you give up on dating that certain someone, whether it's right at the beginning? And I'm seeing a lot of that where people, especially young people, are kind of making decisions as to, do I give this person another chance? How long do I wait? They haven't called me in this many days or weeks, and then they called me again, but they're really nice, but. So there's a lot of buts.
One of the biggest problems is that people don't communicate their expectations.
Right.
If you have the expectation that you're going to be called or communicated with once every 3 days, but you don't tell the person that, and they don't fulfill that, that's not when you should be thinking, well, should I just not see them anymore? You have to reach out and say, look, this is what I would like. I would like you to communicate with me once every 2 days. There's no common sense here. There's no expectation that is reasonable, because unless you tell people what it is you want, you can't be angry that they didn't deliver.
Right. Except that I find that people find it very difficult to have that conversation. I'm talking to younger people who are saying, I can't have that exclusive conversation yet, or I don't want to push that person away, or if I'm hearing all kinds of things like that.
In no other area of life does it make sense to keep your mouth shut about what you want.
Right.
Okay? If you're going to take a summer
Very
job,
true.
you want to know, so how much am I getting paid? When am I expected to come in? Is overtime going to be a part of it? Am I expected to volunteer in addition to doing this? You want to figure out all these things ahead of time. Why is it when it comes to dating, people are afraid to say exactly what they want? But the person might leave me.
Right.
You're already thinking about breaking up with them for not giving you what you didn't tell them you wanted.
Right.
Does this not turn a light bulb on for some people?
Right.
Let the person know if they leave you, you were going to break up with them anyway because they wouldn't be able to give you what you want.
Right. So speak up, people. That's the bottom line.
Yes, speak up. But I also think that a lot of people, when you know, it's like a gut feeling. And it is just a feeling, and you probably are just finding an excuse as of something that is happening to say, oh, well, this happened, and therefore I don't want to be with them. You already know. You knew it. You felt it inside.
Yeah, sometimes but you wait for the signs to confirm what you knew.
Or it could be a person having insecurity, low self-esteem. They wouldn't really like me anyway. No, here's the evidence. They didn't call me after 3 days. But then they call you after the 4th day. No, I don't know what to
Frank,
think.
people don't talk like that.
Yeah, they do. They do. Why didn't you ask out that person? I didn't think they would say yes. Low self-esteem, lack of confidence, these are major factors here. So if somebody already thinks that they're not worthy enough, they will interpret what they see to reinforce their own beliefs about it. That's why you got to communicate what you want. You can't leave it up to, but I don't feel lovable, and that's why they didn't call me in 3 days. No, they didn't call you in 3 days because they didn't know that's what you wanted.
Maybe. Or maybe
But
something
is that a
else.
reason to break up with them? Because the question is when do you know? When do you know
Like,
it's
when
time
do you
to break
when
up?
do you say enough
When
is
is
enough?
So
after you communicate what you want, and if they don't deliver after you've communicated clearly what you want, there's your sign.
Right.
Now you know. You've said, this is what's important to me, and for them it's not as important. Now you know.
Now you know.
But
That's
until
true.
you communicate exactly what your expectations are, you can't be trying to debate whether or not I should continue to see this person or not. No, you don't debate whether or not
How
you
many
should see-
voices do you do? Just curious.
Well, I imitate all the different voices that I hear in the back of my head, and whichever one comes out in
You're
the moment.
funny.
I know.
514-800. Do you have a dating dilemma? When do you know to call it quits, or when did you know it was like that was the sign? One person writes, when I overheard her threatening her ex that he was not going to see their kids. I have an ex-wife just like her. Wasn't going back down that road again. This is one that I can relate to. When I found out about his past, former drug runner and criminal record. Now, your past doesn't always, like, some people could be reformed and could have changed and whatever, but I get it when you look at somebody's history. If somebody tells you, oh, yeah, I cheated on, all my partners, that's like, okay, you're going to cheat on me too. But don't think you're the one who's going to be changing them, and that your love is so great that they won't do what they did to everybody else.
It also depends if someone does have a life plan, or if they have a certain type of career. There are certain people that they can't date that will be off limits, and it's not nice to say. It's not politically correct to say. But if you want a certain kind of lifestyle and the privileges that go with any particular lifestyle you're trying to build and invest in, there's going to be people you can't date.
Right.
And,
that you won't date.
Well, that you won't date. Well,
right.
Yeah.
There's no can't. You won't.
Yes, you won't date.
It's about won't.
You can date them. You just won't.
Right. They'll be off your chart anyway. They'll be like off of your radar.
Limits,
They're off your radar. This text says if they don't call you in 3 days, they could be playing hard to get. Yes, but what happens if, say, they don't call you the first 3 days, then they call you, they get together, then they blow you off, then they don't call you for another 3 days, then they call you a little bit, then they haven't made another date. Like, it can go on and on. Like, at which point do you say, enough is enough?
After you communicate and say, this is what I want. I want us to see each other once a week. Do you have a schedule that can accommodate that? If the answer is, I don't know, well, I'm going to go see other people.
Right. So when is enough enough? When do you call it quits? What does it take, or what has it taken to give you that one sign that says, you know what, I got to be out of here. Like, next, suivant. Like, it's time to move on. We'll address that with Frank and Fritz-Gerald on this Dating Dilemmas.
Straight talk that's all-inclusive. Passion with Dr. Laurie. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
So when is it time to say, you know what, this just isn't for me? What are some of the signs? And of course, off air, I'm reminiscing. Like, I don't have very good short-term memory, but I'm getting long-term memory. It's not a sign of dementia. I don't know, but or age, whatever it is. So I remember, like, it threw me back to the years of dating, which was so many eons ago. But I do remember dating this person, and we were at his place, and his ex-girlfriend is ringing the doorbell, and he's saying to me, leave through the balcony, go out through the back. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm never going to see you again. You think I want this drama in my life? Not going to happen. So that was like, and that took, after maybe that was 2 dates in or 3 dates in, it was not going to happen. What would it take for you? This text writes, Frank, what you are saying can look like you are a very difficult, demanding person, a quite inflexible person. This is not a business partnership. It's more delicate. Oh, by saying what you want, you mean?
Well, here's the way I look at it. I would agree with you that this is not a business relationship. This is actually much more important, because if things don't work out in a business relationship, okay, you may go broke. If things don't work out in a very serious relationship, you don't get access to your kids and can end up in jail. So I would say that this is going to be more important.
You're being very dramatic. But okay,
but
it happens. Yes, I know you've seen it.
But it happens, and this is the stuff that I see. I don't see all the happy stuff out there.
No, of course, neither do I.
Okay, I see a lot of the horrible stuff.
Right.
If you're okay with going with the flow, and this is specifically to the person who sent the text, if you're okay going with the flow and you don't have any problems with it, that's okay. You don't have to change. If, however, you're getting frustrated in the dating realm, and that's who calls me, people who are frustrated that want their problem solved, well, don't wait to communicate what it is you're looking for. And there's nothing wrong with saying to someone, when I start seeing someone new, I would prefer to see the person at least once a week. Otherwise, it's not worth it for me to invest my time and my energy and risking a heartbreak.
Right.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with saying exactly what you want.
Or you can be more laissez-faire. You can be more, like you say, go with the flow. And if that's tolerable for you, that's okay. I don't think it means you're a difficult or demanding person, but it does say, look, I've no time. I don't want to waste my time.
In a world where consent is one of the most important things you can talk about, I believe that the habit of speaking to someone and saying exactly what you want and exactly what your expectations are is necessary.
Well, wait, I need to retort here for just a second.
Yeah,
Even
please.
though I agree with the fact that you need to communicate, I do think that I see where the person or the texter is coming from.
Okay.
And for the texter, where I say that it's not a business relationship, it's a personal relationship or whatnot, everything comes with the delivery. You don't have to be cold and saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, and blah, blah, blah. If I don't get A, B, C, or D, we're not fixing the balance sheet, and therefore this is going to happen. There's a delivery. There's a way of saying things. There's a way of presenting the topic so that you can probably guide the person towards seeing this your way. So instead of saying, I want A, B, and C, you know what? You can probably present it as in an ideal relationship that I'm looking for and I would like to share with you. These are the types of things that we can share together, and we can have this much fun if we do all of these things together.
Some people are afraid to even say the we and to look at the future we. It's like, oh, is that too soon to talk about we?
I'm getting the warm and fuzzy feelings just listening to Fritz talk that way.
Right.
So suave.
This is a texter writes, what is in that Seinfeld that started the whole wait 3 days crap? It is a crap. I really think this whole wait 3 days is crap. It's stupid.
Okay, the concept there is that when you make an initial contact with somebody, you're supposed to wait 3 days before contacting them
who
again.
says who?
This is one of the dating rules way back when.
Who made it up?
I think that was Jerry at that
I
time.
do not believe that is a rule.
No, I don't think it can. I don't believe that it came from Seinfeld,
Yes,
but it
it
did
did.
come from the dating culture at the time, which made sense. Because the advice, remember, dating advice is always specific to the audience. The advice was meant for people who rush in too soon, too hard, too intense, and scare people off. So you're told, look, I know you got the phone number. I know you had a great meeting that Saturday night at the wedding, but don't call the person the next day. Give them a chance to miss you. Give them a chance to think about you. And you want to show them you have other things going on in your life that makes them want you more, that you're not coming across desperate and needy.
I still think that's crap. I'm like, if you go out with somebody or you met somebody, why do you have to wait? Show your interest. I think that says more. I don't think it shows desperation. I think it says, hey, I met you, or I had a really nice time. I hope we can do this again. That I think is respectful and nice, frankly.
Okay, just for fun. Okay, I agree with you, but just for fun, you get the phone number. It's just after midnight on Saturday night at a wedding.
Wait, Frank, we're going to stop right there. The phone number was our generation.
Now
okay,
that's right.
Now you get to swipe.
Or Instagram. You get their Instagram.
Oh, it's very different now, because even with Tinder and Bumble, any profile or dating app that is picture-based, you have to meet within 24 hours or the person loses interest and moves on.
Right.
Dating
it's
profiles,
even more now,
where you have more intense profiles, anything beyond a week of interacting is too long, person is going to get distracted and move on. But if you're meeting somebody face to face and you want to say, hey, let's meet up again, let's talk again, you're not supposed to give them your social media because, well, then I learn everything about him and then it becomes boring. There's no mystery left.
Oh, God, I hear the opposite. It's like, let me find out about this person.
Yes, they want to find out. But if you're the one who hands it over and says, oh, here, just get to know me that way, the ratio of number of people who end up on dates is less. Because they learn so much about the person through social media, there's no mystery left. And they form a certain idea of who you are based on all of that. So you don't give them all that information. You give them just the basic information. Now it's after midnight, Saturday night, and you get to Sunday morning, just 8 hours later. And Sunday morning, the person sends you a text or a phone call, says, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you. Let's hook up later tonight. Some people might feel that is too much, too soon.
Right. I guess you have to be able to judge. You have to kind of learn, pick up on the signs of whether somebody's into you.
So then a rule that says wait a couple of days in that context makes sense.
Okay, hold on. So the couple of days in Seinfeld, that was for our generation. But if you're telling me right now that I went out with you, let's say it's Saturday night and it's midnight, and I send you a text in the morning and say, I had a great time, let's meet up again, that is not too forward. But if I send you a text and I say, I had a great night and let's meet up again tonight, the let's meet up again tonight is what makes this whole thing too forward.
Yeah, the way you say it is what comes back to the way you say it. Can I just share a couple of texts? George writes, are you kidding me? I take a picture of her and then I get a facial scan done and find out her phone number or Facebook. Holy cow, people are getting really good.
Okay, that's funny. Now, could that not be considered stalking?
I would say yes.
I think everybody does it, though. Not the scanning, but everyone I know who's dating finds a way. Finds a way to find out their social media, or they give it away, or they know somebody in common, or whatever, and they stalk their Facebook. Yes. It's not considered stalking, like in the legal sense of the word.
But if she did not give specific contact information, and then he uses her photo to track down her contact information when she did not invite him to do that, could it be considered stalking if she decides that she's not into him?
I would say no. I don't because if she puts everything on profile out in the public, that's not stalking at all.
That's right. It's public. It's public information.
Yes, it's not stalking
It's like I'm going to Google somebody. If I'm going to go out with them, I'm going to Google them. Oh, look at that. He was in jail. Or look at that. He was whatever.
Right.
Or look at that. He's very successful. Whatever it is, right? So it's public. It's public. So exactly. I can't see that as stalking.
Not on, let's say, a private Facebook page.
If you do the private Facebook page and then you hack the Facebook page to go in, that would be stalking.
That would be hacking.
Right. But if it's there out in the public, that would not be considered stalking. And I actually think that the Googling now and going through Facebook has replaced the I've met through a friend. Oh, but do you know about him?
That's right.
So instead of getting it of word to mouth of I know the person and let me introduce you to so-and-so because we didn't have Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatnot, that's just been replaced by I don't even need to ask you. I just go online.
Can I just say a couple of texts before we end the show? I actually made a Wikipedia and public figure Facebook page so they can Google me.
Smart. Very smart.
And then just Drew writes, I Googled my wife after a New Year's Eve party and we've been married for 13 years. And then when Jerry and Elaine got together, prior they made rules, I think, Nancy writes, and it's true. When they got back together, they actually set out all the rules. Of course, it didn't work out that way, but they did set some rules. Guys, thank you so much. A very fun discussion tonight. Yeah, somebody said, I'm sensing tension in the ranks. No tension here. It's always fun. Frank can be reached at franktalks.com. Fritz can be reached at elitespeeddating.com. I can be reached on social media at Dr. Laurie Betito, Betito, or through my website, drlaurie.com. Remember, you can send me questions anytime during the week. At the beginning of every show, I will answer them for you. Coming up next on CJD, the CTV National News.
It's time to get frank with your love life. I have a formula to help you crack the code for dating. Hi, I'm Frank, because I have to be, of franktalks.com. And I have been helping singles and couples for almost 20 years. Visit franktalks.com.
franktalks.com.
Coaching is done over the phone or Skype, billed by the minute. It's time to get frank with your love life. I have a formula to help you crack the code for dating. Hi, I'm Frank, because I have to be, of franktalks.com. And I have been helping singles and couples for almost 20 years. Visit franktalks.com.
franktalks.com.
Coaching is done over the phone or Skype, billed by the minute. It's time to get frank with your love life. I have a formula to help you crack the code for dating. Hi, I'm Frank, because I have to be, of franktalks.com. And I have been helping singles and couples for almost 20 years. Visit franktalks.com.
franktalks.com.
Coaching is done over the phone or Skype, billed by the minute.